Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni. Nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 375th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today. And we are hosting Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And as usual, he will present today's Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers Workshops. It is interesting in what we have started past few weeks, how many of you have started to understand slowly the process of creation. In the past, due to the lack of understanding of the creation and how magnetic fields are created and where they come from, many of us always guessed, especially those who call themselves scientists. They came out with the names, fantasy ideas, and in not seeing it, but one elaborating on the work of the other, they made it very real. In so many ways, in the world of nuclear, they start speaking about quarks, up quarks, down quarks, and everything else. But in essence, they was all dreams. These are all something fantasized and the other followed. And they created more names as they could not understand. As I was talking to the people who are teachers, and we talked about this many times before, the structure within the plasma of a neutron, electron, proton, every single atom within a cell of the body of the man cannot be any different than the structure of the universal bodies. This be it solar systems, galaxies, universes, and the rest. One of the biggest problems for the world of science today is to understand the totality, is to understand what actually is going on. Where do these fields come in? And how these fields, once created, hold on to themselves. In a way, how a cluster is created and how the boundary of these clusters create, position, field strength, and the rest in respect to the others. In so many ways, mankind needs to understand more in the detailed structure, in the full understanding of the process of creation. Many times, we consider that the strength is more within than from outside, but in the interaction of the fields of the magnetic and gravitational fields of the universe, this becomes something totally opposite to what we've been taught. What does this mean? In the world of physics, we can look at the structure, something we can hold, something we can define everything within it. Like an egg, you have a yolk in the center and you have the white. It's its own element, but at certain points, you have the shell, which creates a resistance or a barrier in respect to whatever outside could be. How does this barrier create it? And how does it stand the field forces outside? And how do we break into it? And how do we break the barrier and be able to interfere and interact with the fields inside as much as with outside? In so many ways, we have made a very big misunderstanding of, again, definition of the field forces. We call it magnetical, or we call it gravitational. Let's change the magnetical to pressure. And let's call the gravitational or the pressure and magnetical, the vacuum, the sucking out the energy or pulling out the field. We find out that there is no difference. And in a way, for those of you who want to understand more and find a comparison between the physics and the plasma, it'll be easier to understand that if you call the pressure gravity, you find a lot of similarities. The world of science becomes very different. The world of understanding of the creation becomes any different. In a way, what we call the pressure or gravity is one pushed on and enforced on, where gravity pulls in and forces in. And at a point when gravitational field forces and in the matter state pressure become equal, or gravity field forces within the structure stand the pressure but cannot stand what we call the vacuum or extraction, then we find the breach. Then we find one gives up and the other one breaks through. The same is true in the world of the creation of magnetic fields, which this means we have to find out the ways magnetical field strength pressures that we can break into the plasmas, that we can split the plasmas, or create a condition outside the plasma that by pulling it or creating the vacuum of the field forces, be able to create separation or division of the cell of the plasma. In the present world of plasma technologies, this has not been understood fully yet. In a way, the plasma physicists, nuclear physicists are in the dilemma, where they see things, but they cannot define it. They observe changes in condition of the plasma, but they do not know how to handle it. And as we've seen in nuclear industry, we use the field forces. We call it neutron to be split by other objects, that is splits. But we see this happens naturally in neutron itself, and it divides itself in electron and proton, as we talked last time. The world of plasma technology, nuclear, and the present physics come to be one when we understand the totality. It's just, again, different condition of the strength field. And in so many ways, every man, every child then can understand the process of what we call plasma technology, the process of creation. Because to every single person, the world of creation is something which moves, something which is there, we can see. But the true world of creation is in fields that we cannot see. They come together in a very hidden way, and in respect to the field strength outside, they gather and they create the condition of the manifestation or exertion of the field forces or the strength on their environment. I have tried for many years to find a way to be able to make the world of physics and plasma technology in a simple way that everyone can understand, that in the depth of universe, as a traveler of the universe, we can converse, we can understand the changes and where one leads to the other. The biggest problem in the world of plasma technology and the present physics is that we have not established the point of conversion. At what point a plasma becomes matter? And at what point matter becomes plasma? Or, as we call plasma, a collection of magnetic fields with common denominator strength value. because that common strength value denomination is what decides the size and the volume of a plasma. It's not coincidental. It is not by accident that every electron in the universe, in our universe, has a specific bandwidth of energy, a volume. And at the same time, its proton has the same strength and volume. What dictates these? What field forces dictates the size of a plasma? This is what we need to understand. This is what most of the teaching of today will be. Today, we go in a soft way, but to the edge of science of man. We break through, or we try to break through, that mankind understands this process. As knowledge seekers, if you cannot understand the process of the size and the volume of the plasma, there is no way you can expand the size of the soul of the man to expand beyond the physical boundary of the man's body. And this is what will come very, very clear in the coming times of teaching. We know a neutron splits in the electron and the proton. But how can and what does dictate this separation? At what point the split comes? And in that process, can the proton extend its strength that covers the electron and brings it to be within? This is the process, what we call interfusion, interatomic fusion. And I've written a paper about this, which is published. And in a way, interatomic fusion, where the soul of the body of the man extends itself in a strength that within it covers the physicality of the man. Because the physicality of the man itself is an electron. It shows itself because the proton or the center, the soul of the man, does not allow the expansion.
I think we've lost sound there, Mr. Keshe.
In the center of the brain of the man, we consider to be the electron to be a very little one. But if you look, there is a discrepancy in the transfer of knowledge, in understanding of the knowledge. In the world of atomic physics, we see a proton serene and electron moving. In the world of creation, when the plasma and the matter comes, the matter moves. The proton, as the look of it, moves. But in fact, the proton sits in the center. Is the electron the physicality, or is the physicality the proton? That it has encapsulated the soul of the man, which is the true proton. This is where mankind will have a problem in a coming time in depth of space to convert from the soul of the man to the physicality, at the same time changing the physicality to the soul of the man in a dimension of field forces, but separately operating within each other. Part of the teaching of today and in coming time is to explain that how come when it comes to the matter state of the manifestation, what we call electron becomes stationary, which is the physicality of it. But in being able to physically move, but the soul of the man, which is the proton, again becomes stationary, but controls everything. In a way, is an inside out compared to the atomic physics. In atomic physics, we look at an atom, proton is the serene in the center, electron moves. In the combination of the gas plasma technology, which is the body of the man, in manifestation with the field outside, which is the physicality of the existence of this planet with its fields, the soul of the man, which is the most powerful one, and the real center of the what we call existence, becomes stationary and accepts position within the center of the brain of the man. One of the biggest problems is to understand the separation point in how we can change the environment in a magnetic field strength, not in a matter state, that we allow this serene proton in the center of the brain of the man be able to expand maybe to the boundary of the electron itself, which is the body of the man, or beyond it. This is why in the coming time, when man travels the depth of the universe, will find itself with one soul consistently, but different physicalities. As the physicality is the response of that electron in respect to the environment, where the soul consistently is protected within. This will bring mankind to 2 points in the future of the space technology. Man will have the fear to understand the process of the expansion of the universe, and the same with his soul in a magnetic field strength, or man will walk away from the whole understanding of the process of the creation, as he cannot comprehend the whole process. This is why some of us in the time of the space travel will stay behind, and some of us will move to the dimension and direction of being able to expand the soul of the man beyond the physicality, and due to his strength, protect it, and then we become the true travelers. Those who go through this phase will need no flying. They can travel the dimension of the universe, and in that process, they can travel with no limitation. Those of us who cannot go through this transition will choose the physical means, UFOs, and everything else you call it, the spaceships. And this process will affect mankind deeply. Your child can do, you can't. Your grandchild can do, you can't. Then it'll bring a new ways of understanding, a need to understand why some of us can and some of us can't. Some of us can expand the dimension of the soul of the man beyond the physicality, or be able to bring the dimension of the soul of the man to the boundaries of the physicality. In the coming time, the Keshe Foundation will introduce a new plasma detection or manifestation system, where you can stand in front of the system and in a way, by training and absorbing energies within the boundary of the system, to be able to expand your soul or the energy of the center of the body of the man beyond the physicality, where you shall not see anymore. But to you, on a vision of the physicality of the man, you see lights. In a way, your physicality still can exist within the boundary of the plasma of the proton of the soul of the man, and will not see anything by light. In so many ways, we see this at the point of death. This is the point where many people who reach this point will come to understand they see the light. They see the light of the soul of themselves, not something outside. Because when the physicality in the dimension of this dynamic magnetic fields stops, the soul, the proton can expand. And in a way, the physicality becomes irrelevant. And now we understand why up to now we could not explain this fully. Because we see the light. Many of us who go through this post, through this position, as still there are fields within the line of the physical vision of the man to his nervous system, will see the interaction of the expansion of the field of the soul of the man expanding out, and the interaction of the fields. Like the way we see the interaction of the fields of the sun and the earth creating the light, blinds a man with the light. And at that point, if we could bring the magnetic field of the what we call the dimension of physicality, which is the blood circulation, under control, then we can keep the physicality still alive, but allowing the soul to extend. Then we come to understand a new phenomenon. How do we control the strength of the fields of the blood of the man that allows the physicality to be encapsulated with the field strength of the soul of the man? Or at the same time, being able to communicate between the two, where we can allow the drop in common denominator field strength between the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man that allows the soul to expand symmetrically, not directionally or as a streamline. In a way, when we find a weakness in this process, our soul finds a path to outside. We call it a dream. But now the whole understanding comes. How does the man in the domain of physicality learns to allow the soul to extend beyond it, but still be aware that in that position, he shall not see anything but the light. And that light is the interaction of the soul of physicality with the soul of the man himself, not the creator. In that point, there is no point of physical emotion touch, because every cell of the man has become part of the physical structure of the plasma of the physicality, or what we call in the Ganze state. Then there is a need for awareness that we're still what we call the structure of the communication and interface in the physical dimension, we call it the brain, can move outside and within, that it can communicate with the soul of the man. And in that point, when the soul sees the right place, the right condition, can revert back to the dimension of physicality and take its position in the center of the what we call control interactions between the soul of physicality to create the dimension of the physical man, irrespective of the position, time, and the place. In the world of science, this cannot be done. But you as knowledge seekers can start. In the coming days, Keshe Foundation is going through this test. As part of the transmutation and transportation of the Keshe Foundation, within next few hours and days, we will be testing this, where we allow the what we call transmutation and transportation not only to be in the essence of the physical movement, but allowing the expansion of the soul of the man within the new environment we create. The understanding for the man is how he will be able to go through the transmutation. In so many ways, how can we go from the plasma, expanding it to cover the physicality, but at the same time be able to do the reverse? In a way, if you understand the totality of the creation, is very simple. How do I move you from one to another? And when the time comes right, and when the whole process is in the protection of the cell, I can go back to what it was, where the physicality takes the dimension and the soul goes back to be in its position. The problem you will have is this chap. The speed that you can transmute between the two. Our children, which are created from the soul of the man, will do this very simply. But for those of us who are created in the dimension of physicality, there's transmutation, the speed of what you call light, but in fact, the transmutation of the cell to the matter and the matter to the cell as a plasma will become the cornerstone of the future world. In so many ways, mankind has to understand. Mankind has no choice but to understand this process. The biggest problem for mankind is when the three become one. This is what you will have a problem with. In so many ways, on one side, you're the soul. Going through the light, you become the matter. But in what speed you transmute, and would the effect of physicality in a matter state of the point destination absorption will be dictated by the plasma of the soul of the man in interaction with this environment, or primarily the soul of physicality with this environment. In a way, if we understand this, it becomes very, very simple game to play. The simplicity comes in a very funny way, because what's going to happen is you can dictate in what shape you want to manifest yourself in a dimension, in a new environment, which you have manifested yourself. In neutron, it splits in a very fast way and goes through the process. But in that process, it loses part of it, what we call electron, to keep its balance. But can we do the same with the soul of the man? Expanding the soul to a new dimension, but breaking away from the field forces of the creation in the point of interaction and manifestation. In a process of understanding the fields of the creation, mankind will have to understand this process. The way we change clothes when we go from the warm to cold, or we go from cold to warm, we have to learn the same process. How, which fields we need not to overdo, but to be just enough in respect to the environment of its presence. In so many ways, I can explain this in a very simple way. If we get, or we consider this body as the new environment, this is where we are, as we live. And in the transmutation and transportation of fields of the universe, we manage to do one thing, and that is, we manage to move the soul into a new position. But how do we carry the physicality into the new environment? This is 1G, This is 20G. But the soul has reached the point. How is it going to manifest itself in a physical dimension? Does it need to, or would it matter appears in a matter state, or the field forces of the new environment forces the man to appear as a light? Because this is the only way it sees itself, in being able to exist in the new environment. But we do this in the sleep. We allow the soul to travel, but has a hold on the dimension of physicality. The biggest problem, as I said, for mankind will come when you come back as a soul. To the old, back to earth. Would you have the same physicality? Would I recognize you as the man who left with the original feature, or shall I have a new face? Would my children recognize me as the father who was, or be a new face they have to get used to? But again goes with the same thing. In what speed of light, or would I manifest myself as a light in a new dimension? The most important part for most of you knowledge seeker is your hypocrisy to see this, to believe. But the hypocrisy comes that you dream about the Father, even he's not here, and you recognize the soul and the field of the soul, even the Father is dead. And with this process, you try to mismatch to fit into physicality and the plasma of life of the soul of the man, and it doesn't fit. And this is why many knowledge seekers are in a dilemma. I want to see the soul of myself, then I believe it. I have a very simple answer for you. Even the Creator hasn't seen himself as he is manifested in the dimension of the soul of the man. We have to understand this process. We have no option. Those of you who want to be able to see your soul, you'll wait for a long, long time. Because, as I said, even the Creator has not seen himself in the dimension of the soul. Because it's impossibility. And you will see this will be the biggest argument for many of you who become the traveler of the space, as you will appear in the dimension of the physicality or light, but in so many ways, you shall never see the soul of man. Unless some of you become very clever and create the mirror for the soul. This is the hypocrisy that many of you will use to confirm your ignorance of the existence, where by the time you close your eyes, this expands beyond and travels to another dimension, and in so many ways, the Father dead is met and talked to in his environment. And you say, I had a dream, I met my Father. He's not physically existent, but the soul connected to his soul allows you to see him in the dimension of physicality as you remember, even though in the new dimension, he might look like this, as a flower, to the people who are in that dimension. The field strength of what you call the Father is that telephone number which you have at the strength of your field in the dimension of your soul. This process will keep you busy for centuries, thousands of years, if you don't understand it. If you are ignorant, still to cover yourself with the dimension of, when I see it, I believe it. In a way, wait. The Creator has been waiting from the beginning of the time of the creation. And that's why he created Eve, to confirm the love of his existence, as it's the only way that he can manifest himself to confirm his own existence. In so many ways, as I said many times in the recent past, if you read these 3 books and understand it in the essence through, is word by word, a mixture of the 2 or 3, then you understand the true meaning of the creation. Everything mankind needs to know to become the travelers of the space and level of physicality or the soul are in these 3 books. It's how you understand it according to your intellect and according to your prejudices more than your intellect. The ignorance of the man will come from his prejudices into what is being told and what is being learned. Yesterday, I was talking to the most senior nuclear physicist of the nation. And the day before yesterday. And he brought me to a question. Such a man who heads as the most senior nuclear physicist has a dilemma to understand the process of the field transfer. How do we expect from a man, ordinary man on the street, to understand it? But we see those who become nuclear physicists in the dimension of the limits of the knowledge of the physics, they get trapped with this one. If we can show them the light, they'll find the soul, they'll find the understanding, and then maybe they can translate this to those who have a problem with this. But in reality, all of us do dream. We feel a dream. We taste the food. We feel the touch of the mother. We remember the caresses of the touch. We remember the colors she wore or the colors of the dresses she wears at the present time with us. But we always had a line transfer transmutation we call the filter of the brain of the man in communication between the 2. And this is where all of, not only human race, but all the races in the universe run into problem when they want to see a plasma when you are within the plasma yourself. Many of you will come to question your integrity, your sanity, when it comes to be able to understand this process. Because it doesn't fit into what you've been taught. As I said, nuclear physicists tell me it doesn't fit into what I've been told, Mr. Keshe, what I've been trained, and I accept it. But now, as I said, move on. Move on inside, don't stay outside. Move in the house and taste the food, smell the odor of the inside. Try to understand a new dimension. In the physical dimension, everything has to be tangible or visible that we accept it. But in the dimension of the soul of the man and the plasma of the fields of interaction, there is no such a thing. You feel the strength of the field. You feel the dimension and the strength of these fields. How does it centralize? How is it created? What leads to the creation of it? Rick, can you play the first video you showed, the one I sent you this morning? In so many ways, if you can share it, please. In so many ways, this is a beautiful video. Explains a lot of things about the world of creation. I was fortunate a few days ago to be in a place where it was in front of me. I could explain and see the world of creation, the creation of black hole, the creation of the soul, the creation of how the fields in interaction with their environment bring this position. Can you come up with a video, Rick?
Yes, here we go.
Please. You have a look and see this video. It's taken in a water pool, and you see the rotation of the fields. You see how there is nothing, but as the environment of the flow of the water outside increases, then you see the change. You see the existence. We see a shadow, Rick, is covering the whole thing. You have to take your shadow away. Can you're superimposing a shadow on the whole thing. Can you start it from the beginning, please?
I'm not sure about the shadow thing. Let me try it again here.
Yep. We see like an L shape in the picture. Can you take it out and replay it again? Yep. Okay, it's correct now. Go back to the beginning of the tape, please, from the beginning.
Do you want the sound as well, Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Okay, we'll put that up a bit here.
Can you play?
There you go.
If you look at this is the second video or the first one. This is the, if you look how the black hole or the field flow comes in, the water coming from different dimensions into this pool shows you how the fields change and how rapidly out of nowhere a field flow creates a black hole. Scientists for centuries, thousands of years have been waiting. You see the shadow of the man crossing it. This is the beauty of it, if you understand. You see there are 2 or 3 different directions under the bricks where the water comes in and changes the environment. We lost it again, Rick. You see half of the picture, yeah. And you come to see the field forces, the vortexes of the fields of the water are still there. But as the fields outside through the inlets of the waters into this pool changes, everything changes and it comes back to itself. Can you show the second video, please? This is the best one. If you have a look at this one, how fields broken up, they gather, they come in, they pull in at the same time as the paint disappears. And suddenly the right strength manifests the soul. Now you see it appears and takes shape. We haven't changed anything. You see how soul moves, but you still see the outer circle. And how we can transmute and transport in so many ways fields of the universe. We see the creation of the black hole and how it's done. And if you look at it, the direction and the rotation is very much different. This, in fact, shows us a lot in how we will manifest ourselves in the new dimension and the new environment. The change of the environment comes from the flow of the water inside from different directions. But the structure within, which is the soul, has still got its strength. You still see the field flowing. And then when it comes to the point, the soul takes over. It shows the field flow dimension. As a plasma physicist, as a nuclear physicist, This confirms even the first paper I wrote, the creation of the black hole. Fields coming out as much as they go in and going in every dimension. It's the environment which creates different shadows. It's the environment we got back on the track. This is what Rick has found, recently released by the scientific world as the latest picture from a black hole. You see the same field. You see the arrows or the strings of the field forces into the center. But the most important thing for us is, what are those gaps which show us the field? Are those gaps where the fields are of a different strength, or are those gaps where the fields come out of the source at a higher strength in a narrower field? Thank you very much, Rick. In so many ways, if you put the two pictures next to each other, you will see and understand the total new concept about the soul of the man. How we can extend the soul of the man beyond the limitation. How we can bring the total understanding to this process. It's the environment of the pool, the way the waters come in, changing the dimension and the strength, which changes the manifestation of the physicality in the shape of the black hole. In so many ways, mankind needs to understand this process. How do you strengthen the size of the soul to become bigger, to overcome the physicality and cover the physicality within? In so many ways, we have reached this point, and we have to understand this point. We have to comprehend the totality to be able to transmute between the soul of the man to the physicality, in respect of position and space, where the two interact, the two communicate, the two become one, that it says, here is a danger, I'm going in, you take over. Where what we will see is only the light. In a way, the two interact, that only one manifests itself. Can we go on the camera, please? Can we go on the camera? Thank you very much. In a way that what we see is, we only see the light. The physicality comes in between, and the soul becomes the center. And when the position is right, when the field strength of the environment is right, when the communication between the two parts become one to feel safe and to manifest, we play the game back, where the light become fading in the background and physicality become the manifestation. The prophet of God have reached this point. And those of the mankind who become pure in soul, understanding the process of the what we call balance and unity, will reach this point. Many of us, the only thing, if we are lucky to see, is the light when the demise of the physicality has taken over and only the soul of the man exists. And this is the point that many of you will fail. That you become the light without the dimension of physicality, because you left the physicality behind in the world of the matter state of the earth. This is what becomes the next step. This is how we have to understand the total process. And in so many ways, when you even move this out of the way, you become the light. And in this process, you become the creator. So there is not much difference to go from being the soul of the man to the dimension of physicality to become the light. As I said many years ago, I am the light. Because this is how we see the expansion of the creation and the dominion of the creator. In so many ways, we become part of the totality. In so many ways, mankind has two choices. Which way would you like to sit? From my point of view or your point of view? Would you like to sit in the dimension of physicality, or do you want to sit in the dimension of the soul? And this is what many of you start running into problem with. Where do you want to be? And how do you want to be seen in the dimension of creation? Even the books have a problem in trying to find out what they want to be. So, where do we go? And how do we teach you to be able to transmute in all three dimensions? And how do you assess this? As I said, many of you who are foolish will have a thing, a barrier to move forward. And that is, I believe it when I see my soul. I accept it when I see my soul. Stay in the dilemma and doldrum of your fathers. And one day, you'll only be aware of the existence of the soul as your conduct has decided its position and the place. As we've seen in the interaction with the field of its environment. Many of you will break through the light. And in that process, breaking through the light, you'll come to understand one reality, that we all end up in one dominion or the other, in the interaction of the fields of the environment, which will dictate our manifestation, will dictate our possession and our position. We possess none except the fields which we have interacted, and we will create the condition of the position when the balanced fields of the soul in respect to its environment takes hold. In a way, your physical manifestation of present time is due to the interaction of the fields of the soul with the interaction of the field of the environment of the earth. When you don't carry the physicality, where is the dominion and the transmutation of the soul of the man? Where would you end up? In what condition, even on earth, would you be able to manifest yourself? In the coming time, and through the fields and the interaction of the fields, and understanding of the process of the creation, with the tools which will be provided for you to be able to see this without the loss of this. But that process will become very difficult for many of you, that you will deny your own existence. Because how can you be aware of the physical existence when your soul is not within the structure of the physicality of the body of the in so many ways, goes back to what I said many years ago. As we understand this process fully, you give me a skull of a man, I will create that man for you. Maybe now you understand why. As the strength of the field of the soul of the man, in respect to his behavior and dimension to live, will create that skull, that physicality. Once you give me the skull, I have the cage to imprison the soul. Then, in time, mankind will understand how the whole structure of the creation in the universe has taken different shape and dimensions. The best place to start with is to be the light, because then you can choose each dimension. The light means to be the field and nothing else. The light, it means to be the plasma of the fields of the creation that in interaction with this environment leads to creation of the physicality or creation of the soul of the man. This is where the theology and the world of science meet. And for those of you who understand this process, will have a field, will be the most beautiful time, where, especially with your children, in the dimension of the soul, you shall never see the physicality, but you confirm their existence through the interaction of their fields and the emotion they create as light within you. In so many ways, you can make what you call the lover in any shape or dimension and dominion as your soul fits, to be happy, to be in that dimension and direction. Mankind is going through a transition of knowledge exchange. Mankind is going through a condition in understanding the two sciences of the creation and the physicality. In so many ways, as mankind has been so physical, mankind has problems in comprehending the totality. Many of you will deny your creator, because this way you justify your meager existence. And many of you will take the path to the creator, and by the beauty of what is to create by itself through your soul, you'll come to accept the totality of the existence and the creation and the creator. We make the canvas. It's you who paints the picture. We make available the beauty of the creation. It's you who has to enjoy the beauty of this created. In so many ways, in the condition as you saw in that pool, as the water flow changed, the soul changed, but in essence it's the same soul. We will create the conditions for you to see yourself in different dimensions of physicality, but within one environment. As I said, I will show you one drop in one water tank. And that drop will become a fish or the man by predetermining what will be the environment of that water. Don't forget, the man floats in the womb of the mother in the water from the beginning. Would we be able to show your own physicality in that tank, in a dimension the way you were in the womb of the mother? And then you take shape in the way that you feels correct in that environment. In so many ways, in the future time, mankind will be able to take his soul in that fish tank. And depending on the temperature and the field forces, not the tank filled with water, but the tank filled with different field strength, the pool of the fields and the pool of water, then you will see how your soul in interaction with the environment will manifest itself in a dimension of physicality. In a way, we can create the atmosphere, physical pressure, what we call magnetic and plasmatic fields of the Mars, and you will see how you will manifest yourself on Mars. And then when we go to Mars, are we looking for a man with two legs? Or we find out that life on Mars is in the shape that we become witness to it. In so many ways, mankind will have a fingerprint of its own soul, but in essence, different fingers, and in so many ways, different papers that the finger leaves as imprints. Today's teaching and the teachings to come works in that direction, as we said many times in the recent past. Is awareness of the creation and awareness of the created and awareness of the creator become the essential part of the essence of the what we call existence of the man on this planet and beyond. We can create enhancement. We can create as many different versions of the environment. If the soul of the man is not matured to detach itself for a dimension of physicality, but knowing that the physicality exists within him, there's no use. As I said, when you go into the enhancement unit, we outside will see the light, but you inside, you're totally unaware of. As the soul of the man bypasses and overtakes the physicality of man in the dimension of totality. One interesting point, as I said in one of the teachings, the man in the dimension of physicality creates a shadow of itself in respect to the field of environment. As we saw in that pool, would the soul of the man create the shadow of itself that leads to the confirmation of existence of itself in the environment exists? And the question to ask is very simple. Was that black hole, that vortex of the attraction of the lights in that pool, was the vortex aware of its own manifestation? And if it was it aware of its shape? Or its shape and its manifestation that we saw appeared and disappeared according to the environment which is changed in that pool by the flow of the waters? These waters are not all the same temperature. They're coming from different directions and positions in different areas into the pool. But there is a reality which you have ignored and you were not aware of. Look at the same video again. You will see that the suction hole is somewhere here. And the shadow and the black hole here. Depending on the light of the sun which shines on it, depending on the field flow of the water into the pool, you see how this black hole moves closer or away or in different dimensions to the pool, to the suction point. Is that suction point the point of creator where we all get sucked into and manifest in different shape or form in the cycle of the what we call the black hole in the environment of the pool? This pool we saw is a closed circuit. It's like the universe sucks in the same water pulls it out in 2 different systems or 3 different systems and feed back itself into it. It's a replication of the creation where we make an intention, but the physicality doesn't exist as the interaction of the fields has made that shadow. With the interaction of the fields of the creator, which is the sun shining. But in reality, it's a mirage. We cannot go and touch it. We cannot pick it out of the water. But we see its implication, application, and its shadows on the surface of the pool. To a plasma physicist, when I look at things like this confirms the totality of the knowledge of the creation in a dimension of physicality. And in so many ways, when you see what takes in and you see you are made, you look like existing, but you are nothing but mirage. The physicality of the man is nothing but a mirage. It's us who decide in which shape and how we manifest this mirage to be tangible by the others or physically visible by us. In so many ways, mankind needs to learn. Mankind needs to understand that his creation is the same as that vortex, the same black hole. You saw how little bits came and then suddenly made it. Those little bits are the sperms and the egg and the field forces of the womb of the mother, and suddenly it creates that soul, and that soul takes shape. And that soul in interaction with the light of the beauty of the creator shows itself, but in reality it doesn't exist. And this is us, this is our soul. This is what we fight for, which we're not worth fighting for. In so many ways, has man matured to understand this and let go of it, you see suddenly the black hole disappears, and then it goes through the water, through the hole, and it comes back and manifests the new soul. But it's the same fields, it's the same strength fields, it's the same pump, it's the same pipes, it's the same structure. Then mankind would understand more. Mankind understands the totality of the creation, from the creator to what it pulled out and what it pulled in, and what the interaction of different fields leads to creation of the man, the moon, the Mars, the galaxies, and universes, is all due to the pool of the fields, which we call the creator. How these waters interact will dictate our manifestation of transformation of existence. And in so many ways, mankind has to become very, very much aware that he is nothing but a bunch of fields. And once the environment changes, the confirmation of his existence is very dodgy. It's very fragile. It's very much exists as long as the earth exists, as long as the fields of the sun reaches the earth, and can manifest my existence and confirmation of me receiving food or energy from it. But at the same time, this sun itself is so fragile that it depends on how the fields of the thousands and millions of hundreds, thousands of millions of stars in one galaxy decide its position, its strength, and its manifestation. And then go from galaxies to universe and universes to unicos. Then you understand the all fields come from the center. And it's all that mixing pot. How close do you want to be to that point? How close do you want to exist to confirm your manifestation in that point? I'm detached, but I enjoy the time of attachment because it's what it adds to the fields which will make me in the time to come. And in so many ways, the time has come that we understand the totality of the creation. Do we need confirmation of existence through manifestation of physicality, or do we accept that the soul of the man exists and it manifests itself wherever in the dominion of the Creator decides to manifest itself, confirm its existence? As I said, many of you, most majority of you, will deny the teaching because your excuse is very weak. I cannot see anything, so I don't believe in it. Ask you, answer you with one thing. Do you see your own physicality? Then it exists. It's you who's denying its own existence, your own existence. This way, we do what we like and we preach the lines. This is what I always say, ask for what you need, and if you are given, is your right. Because it's the way the souls work, it's the way the fields of the interaction of the creation does and manifests itself by being given and being receiving. Those of you who will sit back and wait for the day when I see it, I believe it, no problem. You'll never see it, as you're blind to confirmation of your own existence in the physical dimension. And in so many ways, mankind needs to move on. For those who have become intellectually mature in the dimension of physicality, that they can lead, they can bring their souls to a higher dimension. A few words, but a lot of meaning. A few minutes of teaching, but the cycle of the creation of billions of years to understand. In so many ways, how detached are you from the dimension of the attachments to the dimension of physicality? And in so many ways, is mankind ready to move into the next dimension? In the coming time, many of you, through the teachings and understanding of the path to find your way into the universal dominion without the use of physicality or what you call a spaceship, will come to enjoy this. You come to enjoy these teachings because it has opened the path for you to the line of the Creator. In so many ways, we tend to ignore due to the lack of understanding. We tend to rely on ignorance, not to accept the reality. And we try to understand what is actually very easy to comprehend because we have made it difficult for ourselves. We have made it impossible for ourselves to be able to live and to exist. In so many ways, as has been said, I made man in the image of myself. Can I have the facility to be able to share a screen, please? In so many ways, mankind needs to evolve a step further. Mankind needs to understand its process of creation. Mankind needs to understand himself in true essence of the fields and interaction of the fields of the universe. In so many ways, mankind needs to understand one thing. Do I want to be the creator or created? Or through the creation, I become the creator. In confirmation of the existence of the soul of the Creator, I confirm my own existence. And what is happening around is confirmation of my physicality, depending on where and how I be in respect to the environment of the totality of the creation. Maybe now you understand, even in the womb of the mother, why we need two parents. That the interaction of the two in leading to creation of one leads to the manifestation of physicality in the environment of the what we call the womb of the mother, or the womb of the universe. As even the earth has a twin, even the sun has a twin, and in that process, within the environment of the field of the womb of the mother, or this planet or this universe, we confirm our existence. Do we need to confirm our existence in the dimension of physicality or in the dimension of the soul? As I said, there is a lot of work going on in the background, and the systems which are getting developed will allow us to create and control this environment. And then I wonder, what would you manifest yourself as we change this environment within the system? Would you go from the transition of the soul of physicality to the soul of the man and become aware of the light? Or would you go from the other way around and you see the light? But would the two lights would be the same? And in that process, would you be able to confirm your existence as you have moved from one to another and you become what we call aware of your own existence? In a way, as I said in one of the teachings, is the apple which calls you to eat me and you think I eat it because I need it. But in reality, is the soul which brings you to the point that you manifest yourself and live the life. Ask yourself why I'm in this position and in this place, as why my soul has brought me to this point. That what is the purpose of my life and what is the objective of reaching this point in creation. In so many ways, mankind needs to become a little bit more aware of his own existence. Mankind needs to become very much aware of understanding of the totality. How do we join in when we cannot understand what is the playground? How can we enjoy when we don't see we are going to be as part of? We got to be aware of the totality. We got to be aware of what we want to be. In so many ways, what is our destiny? And what is our destiny? And why are we born in this time, this place, this position? To serve what? To bring what into the dimension of the creation? In so many ways, mankind needs to become kind to himself. Mankind needs to understand what kind of a man he wants to manifest himself in the dimension. And then understand the purpose of the life. Understand the purpose of why we are here at this position and time. And what have we added and what is our purpose to add to in what is to come. Dimension of physicality is totally irrelevant. That's the dimension of the soul which counts. The dimension of the free fields, which in its interaction with the field of the planet leads to manifestation of your physicality. As every soul has different strength and combination. It creates an interaction with the field of the earth, which is self-dynamic and changing, a new man, a new being, according to the field strength. The soul of an ant, in interaction with the field of the earth, creates that ant. Because the size, the position, and the purpose fits the total soul of the existence of the totality of all the souls within this planet. And the soul of the man, which is created within the womb of the mother, decides in interaction